In this session, we are going to now set up our hardware sets. So let's begin. We're in our test job. That at the bottom, F6 is for hardware sets. F6. Now we don't know, we want to display the hardware sets that are on this job, and we haven't set anything up yet. So let's see. And we see that we have hardware sets 0, 1, 0, 3, and 0, 4. Okay, so let's go to F6. Let's set up hardware set 0, 1. And in this screen, we want to put in the hardware item numbers and the quantities of those items. We don't have to fill out the descriptions because they're already in there. Now the question is, we don't recall what our hardware items are. So we can do an F8 to search and select the ones we want. So in this case, we're going to tab. I'm going to use 3 hinges, so 3 field exit. And that's all I'm going to use in this screen. So I'm going to hit the Enter key and do an F6 to post that hinge to that hardware set. And then I'm going to go back to F8, and I'll page down and look for the storeroom lock that we created. I hit the Enter key, and I'll page down, and I'm going to look for, let's see, a closer, 1 closer, 1 kick plate. I'm going to hit the Enter key to record it. I'm going to continue to page down. I find 1 wall stop. I select the quantity of 1. I hit the Enter key, and I'll page down to 1 smoke seal. Field exit, and 1. So I scrolled through 3 or 4 screens. I find the hardware items I want. I selected the quantity. I hit the Enter key to record those items I want. Now that I'm finished, I'm ready to post it, and F6 posts all those items to that hardware set. It's a simple and easy way to go through it. Now in my test job, when I copied those hardware items over from the IR spec, I had a lot of items which I don't need on this job, but that's okay. As you do it, you'll find that you get better and better at it. You copy items over from very specific types of jobs, so your item quantities are going to be less, and it's much easier to populate the screen. So hardware set 01 is defined. I hit the Enter key, and that's defined. And the next hardware set we're going to go to is 03. And we're going to do another shortcut. 03 is identical to 01, but there's no closer involved. So I got my arrow here for my cursor, and I'm going to jump my cursor back up here and say copy hardware set. Well, I want to copy hardware set 01. And I hit the Enter key, and 03 is identical to 01. With the exception is that I don't have a closer because it's probably a non-rated opening. And I don't need a kick plate. And I don't need the smoke seal. So all I need is hinges, a lock, and a wall stop. And I hit the Enter key, and I copied 03 identical to 01. And F1, and I go to hardware set 4, And I'm going to do the same thing. Hardware set 4 is identical to hardware set 03. Now, with the exception that the lock is not a storage function, it's a different function. So let's go to F8 and let's find another lock. The only locks that I have in there, and for argument's sake, just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to use code 2001, which is the classroom function 9070. I do an F6, and then I'm going to field exit the mortise lock, the cylindrical storeroom lock, and keep that lock in there. So F1, and I go back into that hardware, and it's been changed. So that's as quick. If I do an F10, I've got hardware set 01, 03, and 04. Done. If I go into F6 to look at it, I can double check what I've got populated already. This ends this session.